This is Folktale and Stories on Spotlight TV.
There was once a woman in our village named Wanjiru. Everyone knew Wanjiru, not just because she was kind and always smiling, but because of the way she looked. Wanjiru had a big backside, the kind that turned heads wherever she went. People couldn't help but notice her, and the men in the village, well, they were obsessed. They would always find a reason to be around when she was walking by. They would stare and whisper, but Wanjiru just ignored them. She was married to a man named Kamma, and she loved him very much. Kamma was a good man. He worked hard on their farm, growing maize and beans to sell in the market. He was proud of Wanjiru, and he never minded the attention she got. He would just laugh and say, "Let them look. They can look all they want, but you're mine." Wanjiru would laugh too, and they would go on with their day. But not everyone was as good-hearted as Kamma. Some men in the village didn't just want to look at Wanjiru. They wanted more. One of those men was Juma, a young and handsome man who had just moved to our village. Juma was known for his charm and his way with words. He always had a smile on his face and a joke to tell. But Juma had a bad habit of wanting things that didn't belong to him. One day, Juma saw Wanjiru at the market and he couldn't take his eyes off her. He watched the way she moved, the way her dress swayed, and he felt a desire he couldn't control. He decided then and there that he had to have her, no matter what. So, he started following her around, trying to find a way to talk to her. At first, Wanjiru just thought Juma was being friendly. He would always greet her with a big smile and ask how she was doing. But soon, his questions became more personal. He would ask about her husband, where he was, what he was doing. He would compliment her on how she looked, saying things that made Wanjiru feel uncomfortable. One day, Juma cornered Wanjiru in a quiet spot near the river. He told her that he had been watching her, that he couldn't stop thinking about her. He told her how beautiful she was, how much he wanted her. Wanjiru was shocked. She told Juma that she was a married woman, that she loved her husband. But Juma didn't listen. He grabbed her arm and tried to pull her closer. Wanjiru struggled and pushed him away. She ran back to her house, tears streaming down her face. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to tell Kamma, afraid he might get angry or do something he would regret. But she also knew she couldn't keep this to herself. Juma's obsession was getting out of hand, and she was scared. That evening, Wanjiru sat Kamma down and told him everything. She told him about Juma, about how he had been following her, about what happened by the river. Kamma listened quietly, his face growing darker with every word. When she finished, he stood up and said, "I will take care of this." The next day, Kamma went to see Juma. He found him sitting outside his house, laughing with some other men. Kamma walked up to him and said, "Juma, we need to talk." The other men fell silent, sensing the tension. Juma stood up and smiled, trying to act innocent. "What's the problem, Kamma?" he asked. Kamma looked Juma in the eyes and said, "Stay away from my wife. She told me everything. If you come near her again, there will be trouble." Juma's smile faded, replaced by a look of anger. He didn't like being threatened, especially not in front of others. But he didn't say anything. He just nodded and turned away. For a while, things went back to normal. Juma stopped following Wanjiru, and Kamma watched over her like a hawk. But the peace didn't last. Juma was still obsessed. He couldn't stop thinking about Wanjiru, and the more he thought about her, the angrier he became. He felt like he had been embarrassed, and he wanted to get back at Kamma. So, he came up with a plan. Juma started spreading rumors about Wanjiru. He told people that she was unfaithful, that she had been meeting men in secret. He said that Kamma wasn't enough for her, that she was looking for someone else. At first, people didn't believe him. Wanjiru was known for her kindness and her loyalty. But Juma was convincing, and slowly, the rumors started to spread. Wanjiru noticed people looking at her differently. Women would whisper behind her back, men would smirk when she walked by. She didn't understand what was happening until one day, her friend Amina came to her and told her about the rumors. Wanjiru was devastated. She went to Kamma, crying, then told him what she had heard. Kamma was furious. He knew Juma was behind this. He decided it was time to confront him once and for all. That evening, Kamma went to Juma's house. He found him alone, sitting outside. Kamma didn't waste any time. He grabbed Juma by the shirt and pulled him up. "Why are you doing this?" Kamma shouted. "Why are you spreading lies about my wife?" Juma sneered and said, "Maybe they aren't lies. Maybe your wife isn't as loyal as you think." Kamma's anger boiled over. He punched Juma, sending him to the ground. The two men started fighting, fists flying. People from the village rushed over to break them up. The village elders heard about the fight and called a meeting. They sat Kamma and Juma down and asked what had happened. Kamma explained everything, about how Juma had been following Wanjiru, about the rumors. Juma denied it all, saying Kamma was just jealous and trying to make him look bad. The elders didn't know who to believe. They decided that both men should stay away from each other, that the matter should be settled peacefully. But the damage was already done. The rumors had spread too far, and people in the village started treating Wanjiru and Kamma differently. They kept their distance, whispering behind their backs. Wanjiru felt ashamed. She stayed in her house, not wanting to face the looks and whispers. Kamma tried to comfort her, but he felt helpless. Their once happy life was now filled with tension and mistrust. Juma, meanwhile, kept his distance. He didn't bother Wanjiru again, but he didn't stop spreading his lies either. Over time, the gossip died down. People found new things to talk about, new rumors to spread. But the damage to Wanjiru's reputation was done. She and Kamma learned to live with the whispers and the looks. They became more private, keeping to themselves. Wanjiru's big backside, once admired by so many, now felt like a burden. She wished she could change it, make people see her for who she really was, not just for how she looked. But she knew that wouldn't happen. People would always judge based on what they saw, not what they knew. And so, life went on. Wanjiru and Kamma stayed together, strong in their love. They learned to ignore the stares and the whispers, to find happiness in each other. As for Juma, he moved away, looking for new excitement, new obsessions. The village moved on, forgetting the drama, but Wanjiru never forgot. She learned that sometimes, being different could be a blessing and a curse. And she learned that true love was about seeing beyond the surface, seeing the person within.